Global markets are down today as investors fear a recession is becoming inevitable. In Asia, stocks are down, led by Japan's Nikkei index, which has fallen more than 1.7%. That coincides with talks between Washington and Tokyo on tougher sanctions on Russia. Growth in the region is also under threat as China revives lockdowns to curb sporadic outbreaks of COVID-19. Meanwhile, in Europe, all eyes are on the euro. The currency, shared by 19 countries, has fallen to a fresh 20-year low, nearing parity with the US dollar. Its latest decline follows a temporary closure of the Nord Stream 1 pipeline from Russia to Germany. 10 days of maintenance on that vital piece of infrastructure began this week, and officials on the continent now fear Russia may decide to keep the pipeline shut indefinitely.
It is difficult to say whether Nord Stream 1 will run after 10 days of maintenance. The past has often shown that technical reasons are often excuses for political decisions. Of course, this could happen again. Nobody can see inside Vladimir Putin's head, so we do not know what will happen.
It's a fact that inflation is already largely in Europe caused by energy prices. It was 42%, the energy inflation in our last figures. What could change the situation we are in and bring us in a more difficult economic situation are supply cuts and real shortages of supply. This could change a picture that for the time being is a picture of very limited, reduced and slowed down growth.
Now, for more on the story, let's go to Danni Hewson. She's a financial analyst at AJ Bell in the UK. Welcome back to the program, Danni. Now, the Nord Stream 1 pipeline down for routine maintenance, it must be said. But can you tell us how important this pipeline is for the European economy?
It's massively important for the European economy. When you think that Russia provides Europe with about 45% of their gas imports, according to the International Energy Authority, that is 155 billion cubic meters. And of that, Nord Stream transports 55 billion cubic meters. So that just gives you some indication, around a third of the gas coming into Europe via that pipeline. So, of course, if it is not operating, that's a third of gas that Europe needs to find. Now, of course, at the moment we are in the summer season, which means that people aren't needing to consume as much to heat their homes, but there is a massive rush at the moment to fill up all those storage facilities. And you've got to remember that gas prices have risen by 400% compared to the same period last year. So a real concern about what happens if this pipeline doesn't start up again.
So, Danni, you mentioned the many billions of cubic meters of natural gas that flows through this pipeline, which means Russia does make quite a bit of money out of it. So can Russia keep it? Can Russia afford to keep it shut indefinitely just to punish Europe for these sanctions that they put on Moscow?
Well, Russia made about $108 billion from gas exports, to the European Union last year. Obviously, it's a huge chunk of money. And this year, even though they have reduced flow already down the Nord Stream by about 40%, the price means that they are absolutely raking it in. So as you say, there is a concern that if they're not supplying, they're not getting that money. Now, of course, that will mean a certain amount of pain for the Russian people, but it depends on what Vladimir Putin wants to achieve. He has been very clear that, making gains in Ukraine is his priority. He is also working on selling more gas and oil to places like China. But that, of course, won't fill in the gaps immediately. So Russia, yes, they would feel some pain, but the question is it worth it to Vladimir Putin?
Now, this, of course, has implications on the European economy, and officials remain confident that they can escape a recession. What are your thoughts on that?
It is becoming increasingly likely that a recession is on the cards for the European Union. I mean, when you just look at all the moving plates that are in the air at the moment, the ones that officials are having to sort of keep up there, it is incredibly difficult. What they've said is that they believe that the savings which have been stored up by people, the fact that the labour market is still strong in Europe, and the fact, of course, that reopening has really seen things like tourism begin to thrive once again in Europe, should keep the area out of recession. But if we do see any more energy woes, if this pipeline doesn't get back on track, then a lot of people are worried and markets are reacting to that.